In this video, we're going to focus on the game board, the field and arena where this game of life is being played out. As I mentioned in Module 1, in this game, we refer to our arena as reality. And whatever definition of reality you currently have, it's good enough for our purposes. Now, the whole point of you taking this course is because for some reason, you want to change your reality. You want to improve it. You want a different arena. You're here to learn how to transition from your current reality to a new one, to the reality you really want. For example, in this desired new reality, you may have a different job or career, maybe a different looking body, more health and energy. Or maybe in this desired reality, you have more money or possessions. You live on a beach, or perhaps you found someone to love and marry. All I know is that your goal is to get from here, your current reality, to there, your desired reality. You're simply trying to shift to a different position on the game board. And my goal is to help you do this as quickly as possible. Now, the best way for me to help you is to give you new insights and effective strategies. And one of these insights is that all game boards, all playing fields, courts, and arenas establish primary rules. At the very least, they establish the boundaries of the game. So, for instance, in chess, you can't move your piece off the board to escape an opponent or get around an obstacle. All active pieces must remain on the game board. And in baseball, a pitcher must throw the ball from a very specific location, a very specific distance away from the home plate. It's how the field is set up. In the game of tic-tac-toe, you can place your mark only within an available blank space. Game boards establish rules. Now, our reality also establishes many of the rules of the game we're playing. For instance, our reality appears in only 3 dimensions, time moves in only one direction, and unlike birds, we can't fly, we can't walk through walls, and we only have 5 senses in which to experience the game. Our game board places a lot of restrictions on us, which leads me to the 2 most important rules placed upon us by the game board. The most important rule of this reality is that since we are playing it as living beings, we can and we will die. Now, unlike a video game, we only get one life. In order to play this game, we humans must first remain alive. And our reality, our game board, is loaded with items that can kill us. We have animals and humans and accidents and diseases and open manhole covers we can fall through and trees we can fall out of and droughts and ocean undertows and poisons and thousands of other things. I'm telling you nothing new, but I need to belabor this point because it has so much influence on the entire game. The most important rule, rule number 1, is to stay alive. Okay, now that I've said that, I need to say it again, a different way, because I know you understand that you need to stay alive. You understand it intellectually. But I need you to consider for a moment that there's a possibility you don't understand it at the level it actually rules your life. In modern times, especially in the United States, survival is pretty easy. So easy we never really think about it on a daily or even weekly basis. But 99.99999, however many nines you want to take this out, % of your ancestors thought about it daily. You and I, and everyone who is alive today, comes from the most advanced survival experts this planet has ever produced. However far back you think the human evolutionary tree extends, understand that your specific ancestors, they were the ones that survived. They survived the elements and famines and disease and plagues and war and natural predators and natural catastrophes. And they survived accidents and injuries. I mean, all the possible threats, all the possible ways we can die on this planet. Your family tree somehow navigated all those landmines. And all your ancestors, since the very beginning of time, somehow dodged death long enough to produce an offspring that survived long enough to produce an offspring, to have another offspring, and so on and so on and on. This is an unbroken chain of survival that leads up to present day, to all of us. We're now the ones enjoying the sunlight and earth's fresh air and having offspring. And let's be clear, our ancestors were both the bravest and most cowardly humans to ever live. One way or another, either through battle or by running away and hiding, they figured out how to survive. They are the all-star VIPs in life's survival of the fittest challenge. So it should be no surprise that written deep in your DNA, at the deepest levels of your programming, in the software you don't even realize is there, is powerful code from all your previous ancestors. Hundreds of thousands of years of perfected code. So when I say that above anything and everything else, you are programmed to survive, I don't mean that lightly. I'm not telling you this because it's some interesting anecdote. Friends, if there's one single puppet master pulling the strings of your life, it's your rule number one programming. You are still wired for survival. Our modern life with abundant food and safety makes all of us fish out of water. We have no idea how frequently this amazing programming clashes with our modern first world goals and dreams. So think of it this way. When your 5% active mind is arm wrestling for your goals and dreams, realize it's pitted against your subconscious programming, whose number one goal is simply survival. Survival is rule number one on our game board. To explain the second most important rule the game board establishes, I'd like to quote Dr. Bruce Lipton, and he is the author of the bestseller Biology of Belief. Now, Dr. Lipton says, the purpose of your mind is to create coherence between your programming and your reality. Friends, please write that down in all caps, bold, and then highlight it. I'm going to fill the screen with exclamation points just to emphasize how important this concept is. This is the invisible referee of the game of life. So let me explain this. What does he mean when he says the purpose of your mind is to create coherence? Well, he means this equation must always balance. The purpose of your mind is to make these two things balance. Your programming must agree with your reality. And let me explain this better with a story. Earlier this year, my 18-year-old son underwent a medical procedure where he was given a combination of drugs, including fentanyl, as part of his anesthesia. Now, this produced an uncommon side effect, causing him to hallucinate. He was lying face down on the table, and his experience of reality was momentarily distorted to make him perceive he could see through the table to the floor where a group of puppies lay snuggled up. Now, my son is 18, and even though his reality was showing him puppies through a solid table in this operating room, his programming, his beliefs told him this was impossible. And at that moment, the relationship between his programming and his reality, it lacked balance. They did not equal. There was a glitch. Either there was a problem with reality or there was a problem with his programming. Now, as Dr. Lipton suggests, the mind wants perfect balance between the two. So my son's mind simply searched its database and found information, namely that drugs can cause hallucinations. And with that single conclusion, he balanced the equation again. Things made sense again. Balance was restored. His mind quickly established coherence. This is the job of your mind. Like an accountant, it must make sure things balance. Every minute of every day, these checks and balances are happening within your subconscious mind. Now, if you awoke tomorrow discovering you could talk with animals, actually hear them speak and understand them, you too would experience an imbalance with your programming and your reality. Your mind would immediately fly into action to figure out a way to create coherence because it's been programmed to believe that animals cannot speak. It would start sorting through the database, looking for possible explanations, possible solutions. Maybe you somehow tapped into some uncharted region of your brain and actually become a real Dr. Dolittle. Or maybe you're being pranked, or maybe you're hallucinating, or maybe you've actually gone insane. You'd most likely be tormented until you found some way to explain this inconsistency. You'd be tormented until your mind could explain how this new reality is happening. Now, unfortunately, there are thousands and thousands of people worldwide whose minds can't create this coherence, and they find themselves trapped in mental asylums, tormented by this imbalance between their programming and their game board. So back to you. How does any of this apply to your goals and dreams? Well, we've already established that you are taking this course because you desire a new reality, a different reality, and in your estimation, one better than your current reality. And what I'm suggesting is that desired reality doesn't yet balance with your current programming, not completely. If it did, you would be experiencing that reality right now. You'd have the life you want. So, for your mind to accept any new reality, we need to balance the programming side of the equation. And by programming, I'm specifically talking about your belief system. We need a belief upgrade. We need to change the code to match the reality. Now, have you ever heard stories of an overweight person who loses a considerable amount of weight, and they seem happier and healthier, and they get heaps of compliments and praise from their family and friends, but ultimately regain the original weight, or sometimes even more? Now, it's often said that although the person is thin on the outside, they are still fat on the inside. And even though their mind understands how they lost the weight, it has other programming that says they're not supposed to be thin. The reality of being thin doesn't balance with their subconscious programming, and so their mind simply manipulates their behavior to shift back to the previous reality. The mind influences the person to break their diet or exercise routines, and in a matter of time, the scales balance again. Now, another example you may have heard of is that of, let's say, a middle-class person winning large lottery jackpots, only to go broke again in the span of a couple years. And it said that they have a poor mindset. They were programmed from an early age to identify as being middle class, or at least not rich, and so their mind sabotages the outer reality to once again find balance with their inner beliefs and programming. Now, in both examples, reality disturbs the mind with real, measurable, undeniable discrepancies to its internal programming. And the mind, being as powerful as it is, simply does everything it can to restabilize the system, which includes executing behaviors that bring things to normal. It helps the person regain the weight or lose the money. This equation tends to be the greatest factor in people never experiencing the reality they desire. Now, please understand, the mind doesn't do this to hurt the people. Like any software, it's just following the code that was programmed into it. And here's the best news. Your personal life story has hundreds of examples that prove this balancing isn't always in favor of bad outcomes. During your life, you've experienced realities that were beneath your programming, and so your mind did what was necessary to help you escape to a higher reality your programming actually deserved. Perhaps you ended a relationship because they weren't treating you right, or you weren't getting what you needed from the relationship. Or maybe you quit a job that wasn't paying you the money you deserved, or that you needed to support the reality you were programmed to be accustomed to. Or maybe you went back to school to get a degree, or maybe you moved to a new city or state, or maybe you gave away all your possessions, shaved your head, and became a monk. These are all examples of your mind trying to balance your programming with your outer reality. Whatever you're programmed for, the mind finds a way to make that the reality you experience. And to be clear, I'm not simply preaching the law of attraction as it's popularly understood. Just believing you're a millionaire doesn't magically produce $1 million in your bank account. Our game board, the reality we've come to know, has proven pretty convincingly that $1 million doesn't just appear out of thin air. Between you and your goals and dreams, there are an untold number of actions and behaviors you will have to undertake to make them your reality. The overweight person who loses the weight and then puts it back on again was required to do specific actions and behaviors for both realities to take place. And the lottery winner usually spends till it's all gone. Actions and behaviors are absolutely required to change reality. And the good news is I decided to include my Mastering the Habit Wheel program as a bonus with this program to address those issues down the road. When you finish this course, you'll then be ready to learn how to reprogram your mind for the habits you'll need to accomplish your goals and dreams. But it's best to complete and understand this course first. So, what did we learn from this video? First, we learned that to exist in our reality, we need to be alive. And so survival is priority number one, rule number one. And this will, of course, get more attention in later modules. Now, second, we learned there's a powerful rule, a referee of sorts that exists between your mind and the game board itself. And it's explained by this equation. Your programming and reality must balance. To get that future reality you desire, you'll need to cooperate with your subconscious mind and guarantee two of its top goals: your survival and coherence between your programming and whatever reality your goals and dreams will deliver. Your subconscious mind won't compromise on its goals, so you need to offer it a win-win solution. Now, if you remember the arm wrestling demonstration mentioned in Module 2, it only takes one player to introduce the concept of win-win in order for struggle and competition to turn into cooperation. So your active mind needs to offer a win-win solution to your subconscious mind. And this scale here is the scoreboard we'll use to reprogram your mind to align with your goals and dreams. Now, I'm going to close with some good news. My friends, the fact that you're watching this video in the first place is a perfect example of your mind trying to help you shift to a new reality. It's looking for new programming. Your mind realizes that your current reality doesn't balance with what you deserve. It's like the example I gave of ending a toxic relationship. However, this time the toxic relationship is between you and your current reality. And your mind is just trying to find coherence with this new reality, the one you desire. And so when you somehow came across my course, your mind told you to buy it. Enrolling in this course is proof your mind is working to manifest a new reality. It's exploring, taking in new information, new code, trying to reprogram the database to help it create coherence. And our job is to speed this process up by finding the specific code needed to be updated in order to manifest your goals and dreams. And it's my experience that code lies within your belief system. So, we've covered a general overview of the game, the mental players involved, and in this video, the game board and its 2 giant rules. Now, in the next video, we're going to go deep dive into the goal of the game itself. I mean, what's the point? And how do you know if you've won? But that's it for now. I'll see you again in the next video.